Welcome back to Feeling Seen, the podcast about the movies and characters that make us feel seen. My co-host today is the screenwriter of a new action movie that I have been really excited for. His name is Leon Chills, and the movie is Shadow Force, starring Kerry Washington and Omar Sy. Leon and I are talking about a truly formative film, not just personally, not just for action cinema, but formative for cinema itself, and a generation of moviegoers. It is The Matrix. And while Leon has singled out the character of Neo, played by Keanu Reeves, don't worry about delusions of grandeur. Leon's delusions are totally healthy and normal for anyone attempting a career in Hollywood. Screenwriter Leon Chills, welcome to the show. What else do the people need to know about you before we get started? We have the headline credit.
I also have co-written comic books for DC Comics. Actually wrote on a video game as well, DC Universe Online. TV, spinning out on Netflix, The Wilds on Amazon Prime, and some other movies that have not gotten made yet.
Sure. The vast portfolio of the things about to be made.
Right.
I get this ties into what we're going to talk about. So I want to start with, tell me about the role of action in your creative life and like sort of where that started taking hold for you, sort of action and its like affiliated like fantasy genre kind of sensibilities. Where did that start becoming something really important to you?
Ever since childhood. My parents divorced when I was younger, and the way that I primarily would spend time with my dad is going to see movies on weekends, and 9 times out of 10 that would be an action movie. So I grew up on, Jean-Claude Van Damme and Schwarzenegger and Stallone.
100%. Those were the
Jackie
high
Chan.
rotation movies in my house for sure.
Yep. So I have a deep emotional connection to the action genre because it reminds me of spending time with my dad. And so when I write a script, a lot of times it tends to be in that genre. And I also add that emotional aspect to them, which I feel like a lot of times they don't have.
Well, there's a moment in Shadow Force, I will say, this doesn't spoil anything, anybody, but there is a wonderful little actor in this named Jaleel Kamara. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's extremely adorable. And there is a moment where he is like connecting with a parental figure in his life that me and wife both dissolved into tears. she was like, not this, and it's just like wiping her eyes, and like the sincere emotion that little boy puts in. There's just this way he like tilts his head as he talks. Yeah. we were inconsolable at him in that moment.
Yeah, it's literally my favorite thing to hear from people that have seen it, that they are shocked that they like teared up or cried because they thought it was just like, just thought action movie.
Well, how was it watching this come to life? Directed by Joe Carnahan, who I think it's written by you and Joe Carnahan, I believe is what the credits are. And starring Kerry Washington, Omar Sy, Mark Strong is there, Divine Joy Randolph is there, Method Man is there, Academy Award winner Divine Joy Randolph. Like, tell me about seeing the script realized with like an ensemble like that right in front of you.
It was amazing. Like it's completely a dream come true moment. It's interesting because I obviously tear up from the dream coming true that I wouldn't. It's also good to hear people say they also cry, so that it's not just me being emotional about my dream coming true, that the actual story made them cry. But it's been a long journey. I've been writing for 14 years. This is the first time a movie has made it to the screen.
God, well, I mean, for any of you, I'm sure, like the people listening to this by now, I'm sure are aware of the rarity and the miraculousness of something actually getting made. But guys, it is so hard for anything to get made. So when you see something in front of you on a screen and you are watching it, recognize it as the small miracle that it is.
Yeah, I saw it the first time with an audience on Sunday at the Atlanta Film Festival, and I did the red carpet beforehand and all that, and it's my first time with any of this, and like I could not get one like serious face pick on the red carpet because I'm just like cheesing the whole time. So I'm definitely taking it all in and being as happy as I want to be.
Now, as I said, your choice ties into in action wise, and we'll get into a whole like social, emotional, existential conversation, I hope, about it. But please tell us about the character in the movie that you chose to bring in the feeling scene discussion today.
Yes, I chose Neo from The Matrix.
All right. Was this a in theaters movie for you? Was this a VHS after DVD?
100% in theaters. It was my 13th birthday weekend. I ended up seeing it 3 times that weekend. And initially it was just like go to the movie with friends, and obviously blown away and saw it multiple times. Definitely, like, a lot of people speak that way about Star Wars from the generation prior. And that was definitely that moment for me. I don't know if I didn't really feel seen by the character until much later as an adult. And it became my favorite movie for a bunch of different reasons. But in the moment, it was just like the spectacle was just so amazing.
We have only bits and pieces of information, but what we know for certain is that at some point in the early 21st century, all of mankind was united in celebration. We marveled at our own magnificence as we gave birth to AI.
AI? You mean artificial intelligence?
A singular consciousness that spawned an entire race of machines. We don't know who struck first, us or them. But we know that it was us that scorched the sky. At the time, they were dependent on solar power, and it was believed that they would be unable to survive without an energy source as abundant as the sun. Throughout human history, we have been dependent on machines to survive. Fate, it seems, is not without a sense of irony.
I like watching it again it was so exciting when you picked it because obviously it's The Matrix, but like, I was like, talk about movies I've watched over and over again. It's like, oh, I like have this one down, like I know this, but like still put it on to watch it again for that. Like it, even on my laptop screen, like that moment when Carrie-Anne Moss comes off the ground, like when the bullet time like kicks in for the first, it really, like, I feel the rush again. Like it was, I never forget how incredibly new that felt the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
Like it really did. Like it was Star Wars. It was Star Wars. It was.
To that point, I hadn't seen anything like that before. Obviously, there were a lot of copycats after the fact, but up until that moment, it was just, you've seen people shoot, you've seen people do martial arts, but the way they shot it was mind blowing.
Do not try and bend the spoon. That's impossible. Instead, only try to realize the truth.
What truth?
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon?
Then you'll see that it is not the spoon that bends. It is only yourself.
And now you said you came to like connect with it differently. And that's one of my favorite things to talk about on the show is the way that we grow with movies. Like they stay the same. Like they're frozen, but like we aren't. And so I want to hear when this movie started kind of like its significance, like points of it starting to evolve for you.
Out of college, I worked at JP Morgan on Wall Street. And it was like 2 years into that where I had the quarter life crisis of like having a good job, but not being happy. And what that's all about. And I did the soul search and eventually went back to becoming an artist and a writer and a storyteller. But that decision to quit and move to LA to chase the dream connected to me with the red pill and the blue pill.
This company is one of the top software companies in the world because every single employee understands that they are part of a whole. Thus, if an employee has a problem, the company has a problem. The time has come to make a choice, Mr. Anderson. Either you choose to be at your desk on time from this day forth, or you choose to find yourself another job. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, Mr. Reinhardt, perfectly clear.
I mean, not only that, but like Neo was literally working at like a corporate job, just like I was. Feeling like he was meant for more than just sitting in that cubicle.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
On another level, after he takes the red pill, like, he goes into the real world in this reality, but like his clothes are tattered, like he's sleeping on steel, like the food sucks. Like he took the truth, but it's worse living conditions. And similarly, after quitting JP Morgan and having no income for a while, it's the same thing. It's like, I can't shop for clothes anymore. Like, the food that I'm eating is worse.
Here you go, buddy. Breakfast of champions.
If you close your eyes, it almost feels like you're eating runny eggs.
You know, a bowl of snot.
Do you know what it really reminds me of? Tasty wheat. Did you ever eat tasty wheat?
No, but technically neither did you.
Well, that's exactly my point. Exactly. Because you have to wonder now. How do the machines really know what tasty wheat tasted like, huh?
So yeah, it was like, after taking the leap of faith, I guess, how initially things are rough for a while before they get better again.
Right. Well, and something that interested me about, like, with the work that you've done outside of screenwriting, like you said, working in comics, something that I feel like the Wachowskis have, I mean, I love Bound. Bound was a kind of movie from them, and then The Matrix was like their second one, and it set more the tone of like the movies that were going to come after. And it felt like these two filmmakers arrive and they start bringing to life visuals that I feel like really only felt reachable in a way before that, in something as detached at times from reality as comics, where it really or anime, things where you are not bound by human physics, and you can touch the reaches of your imagination and create them on a page or an animation. And so I wanted to hear from you as an admirer of The Matrix, as so many of us are, but as what fewer of us are, which is somebody who like actually creates comics and being able to work in that scope of imagination, because obviously Shadow Forces, like, these are people doing things, assassins, spies. Like, tell me about like the role of imagination and creativity and the way that you got trained and sort of refined in that in comics work that you've done.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the imagination growing up definitely came from watching a lot of comic book shows on TV. So when I was coming of age, there was Spider-Man, X-Men, like all of those shows, Batman, were having their animated series, which were also very good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like X-Men 97 is like, and like the Batman the animated series, like those are like two of the highest achievements I feel like that you hear people talking about in like comic books for screen.
Right. So yeah, growing up on the OG versions, it definitely informed my imagination, and Dragon Ball Z as well. The biggest influence I for sure feel on The Matrix is anime, and I think they were smart and really leading into that inspiration without trying to do like a straight adaptation. Mm-hmm. Like, you would think that they could have just adapted Ghost in the Shell, but when you adapt an anime, so many people are already happy with the way it exists as is. So whenever you do the live action adaptation, like, for good reason, people are just like, it's not going to be able to be as good. And so they kind of just took the inspiration to create something new. And if you knew where you had seen something like it before. But you're definitely right that the only place we had seen something like that was like kind of just animated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the smart thing about it is that because it's in the Matrix, like, they can break the rules of any visual language of anything that came before, because it's not real. So yeah, it gave them license to do whatever they wanted, basically.
When you're writing something in this genre, are you breaking the bounds of physics and like having to pull it back, or are you like a kind of, when you're writing, do you want to put those Lundgren movies on screen like you grew up with?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have to keep some constraints in mind. I mean, I think generally speaking, I don't think about budget. I tend to write big budget movies naturally. I actually am trying to learn how to write a low budget movie so that I can transition into being a writer or director. A lot of times that first movie needs to be small, and so they're not going to give me Shadow Force as a first time director.
You never know. Carrie could have been like, you know what? This guy's got something.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of times you want to be unique with your action set pieces, but sometimes the constraints of budget or physics definitely come into mind, because even if I came up with something like the Mission Impossible movies are another example of like pushing the boundaries and limits of action, but that is a certainly much higher budget than we had. So you can't. I feel like I can't go too crazy. You know, even though if it's unique, I still gotta find a way to ground it. But I think the most important thing for me is making sure the action is character driven. So making sure you care about the characters as the action is going on, which I feel elevates it. So when you get to like the bank scene or whatever, like you have an emotional attachment to it versus, not establishing that relationship prior to, and so on and so forth. So they inform each other. So before each action set piece, there's like a character defining emotional moment, then the action piece, and so each time it's like you should care about what's happening during the action.
You hear that, Mr. Anderson? That is the sound of inevitability. It is the sound of your death. Goodbye, Mr. Anderson. My name is Neo.
Well, I want to hear a bit more about your Mr. Anderson era, when you were pre-Quarter Life and you were the suit in the cubicle. Like, how was creativity part of your life, sort of maybe before you went into that job? And then like what caused that notion that like, I have to get back to this, or this is something I've always thought about that I finally need to pursue for the first time?
Yeah, I was a computer science major. And,
I mean, smart. Good for you. Smart choice. Super practical.
And right at Morehouse in Atlanta, and the goal was to code video games, because I always loved video games growing up as well. And at a certain point, it's a prestigious school, and a lot of my peers were doing like the sexy thing was to get a job on Wall Street, or like, and so. Kind of in keeping up with the Joneses kind of thing, I just like applied to JP Morgan so I can be viewed as a success as well.
Of course.
And that kind of ended the creativity when I started there. So I wasn't being creative at all during that period. And that's kind of, I feel like why I had developed like the dark cloud over my head feeling of, something's not right. And a friend of mine, Alain Noel, he's an actor. He was at NYU.
I mean, in my mind, not nearly the action star that man should be.
Yeah. So
he
that's
is
like
a
one
talent.
of my best friends. Yeah. Like groomsmen at my wedding, all of that stuff. He was at NYU at the time, and sleeping in my closet. I would go to his plays. It would be like the stage would be like the size of a living room. But he gave me The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, and that reopened my right brain during the morning pages, going on the artist dates. And it was through the process of the morning pages that the story starts to come out, and like they had when I was younger, and that's what led me into writing scripts again, or writing scripts for the first time, but writing storytelling again through that process.
And as you were doing that, did it become a thing of like, I can do both? Like, this will be a side thing that I do. And then did it eventually just kind of overtake and be like, no, this is actually like, I can't split this life anymore?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I'm definitely a over planner or feel like I can perfectly plan. And NYU at the time, they had an MBA, MFA program. So I was like, all right, this is perfect. Like, I'll get both. And like, if the film thing doesn't work out, I'll still have my MBA and like still be desirable to corporate America. And I'm doing like the practice GMAT tests leading up to the test, doing like getting better each time. And I take the test, and then my score from the actual test is like so comically low that it was like, it was like such a like stop trying to do this with the safety net thing.
Yeah.
Because I've never been like a poor test taker or any of that. And it was just like, yeah, you can't do both. Like, and so it was after that I finally I stopped trying to do both and just decided to just quit and move out there.
Going into a career in Hollywood, it's funny, like, if it's something you desire to do, there's obviously, like, if you figure that out when you're 20 and you're going to be like, all right, I'm going to start in the mailroom at WME, and we're going to be on a desk, and then once I have my desk experience, that will open up all these doors to me. There's clearly that linear path. But then there's the thing, too, of, like, if you are getting into this as a second career or later, like, not the beginning of your working adult life thing, you try and talk to people about, like, okay, how'd you do this? Like, trying to map out a path that you can take. And I feel like one of the only commonalities I found in asking people that question is there are so many different answers. And it's like, oh, it's so great that there are so many different answers for how to do this. And at the same time, first, I am a risk-averse person. It's like, this is terrifying that there are so many answers because you damn people aren't showing me like a path I can walk on linearly to get there. And so it really does like just come down to being like, oh God, I'm going to take the chance on this, because it is something that at a certain point demands that you can't split yourself in two to do it anymore. It does require your complete dedication. And something that's come up so much on this podcast, like a fair amount of delusion, like healthy delusion. That's like, I'm beat the odds. It's going to be me. Like, it might be hard, but it's going to be me.
Yeah. Delusion and optimism.
Yeah, I would love to hear about your balance between delusion and optimism, and in which side of the scale is more often weighing more heavily.
They're so close to, they're so intertwined. But I guess the delusion part comes in and thinking that when something doesn't work out, that, oh, the next thing will. So that's the delusion part. So the optimism leads to like before I moved out there, I had set up 2 interviews. And the optimism was saying that I was definitely going to get one of those 2 and then off to the races. And then the reality was that I didn't get either of those jobs. So then the delusion is that, okay, well, I'll get another one. It's not over yet.
Yeah. Now, when you did move away from like the consistency, the stability, like that JP Morgan, that Wall Street job, and you're in your like, I'm eating gruel in the Nebuchadnezzar, and it looks cold. I assume it's cold there. And like, but like, I've chosen the path of my reality. And this is why, even though it's still gruel, this is why I know I did the right thing. What were your things that you held on to for those kinds of reprieve when you were like in the belly of the ship, living an uncomfortable life, but like continuing on and making the choice to keep putting one foot in front of the other? Because the endurance of this is just absolutely one of the hardest parts.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think with the completion of each script, there's definitely like a euphoric feeling that keeps you going, for sure. I think practically speaking, I have been lucky enough to have friends and family that are a source of joy outside of the pursuit of the dream. That's one bit of advice, because the paths can be so messy or, unique. One piece of advice that I do give is that you should try to have things in your life that bring you joy outside of just the pursuit of your dream. Because if the only thing that makes you happy is something happening related to your dream, those rejections are like, can take you out, like, yes. It's not a secret that a lot of people end up homeless and all those things. And I think a lot of times it's just because, from a mental health perspective, if everything is riding on the script selling or things like that, then it can be crushing. So throughout that whole period, I was lucky enough to have my friends and family, and my now wife, Kristen, was a huge part of that. Her love and support. It's another reason why I feel seen in retrospect by Neo, because I don't, he couldn't have been the one without the love of Trinity. I feel like that's a very underspoken part about the movie, is the love story.
The Oracle told me that I would fall in love and that that man, the man that I loved, would be the one. So you see, you can't be dead. You can't be. Because I love you. You hear me? I love you. Now get up.
But her literally saying, like, you can't be dead because, like, I love you. It's just like, and then he gets up. I mean, so that's, my wife is my Trinity. And she kept me, every rejection, she told me, I can't be dead. You have to keep going. So, yeah.
Oh my God, that's going to make me cry. Jeez.
Yeah.
I mean, that's honestly.
You see how this stuff, you see why Shadow Force is emotional.
Honestly, that's why I really liked the fourth Matrix, because like obviously I loved the spectacle of those first three movies and the way it like reorganized our minds when we saw it in the first one. But it's like, it was like when I watched number 4, I was like, oh my God. I feel like the Wachowskis went to the studio and they were like, yeah, we're going to do the Matrix again. Like, you guys want more Matrix? You want that IP? And they were like, and then the studio assumed it was going to be an action movie like the other ones, when the action in is only sporadically as like great in the fourth one as we've come accustomed to seeing in the previous 3. But it's a lot. So like they were like they like Trojan horsed it into getting made, because they're like, actually, we just need to go back to the love story of Trinity and Neo again. Like, we need to rejoin them through dimensions and time, and we need to see lesbian Jada Pinkett Smith farming strawberries with her robots. Like, we need to see these beautiful things. I feel like we talk about horror so much as a Trojan horse genre, but I feel like very much in the case of Matrix 4, the Wachowskis Trojan horsed in a romantic drama into the trappings of an action movie with an extremely cool Jessica Henwick.
Right. Yeah. I feel like all genre can be a vehicle for Trojan horse. Like, I mean, a lot of people describe this as a family drama. People who have seen it say, more family drama than action. So yeah, same thing.
I was very happy to get little tastes of Divine Joy Randolph, beat your ass specialist. That was like
it crescendos in a lot of different ways. Like, the payoffs, there are a bunch of different kinds of payoffs towards the end. That's one of them for sure.
Yeah, I'm not saying how or who it involves, you guys, but there is a moment with a exploding like propane can that I like audibly shouted when it happened. And I did replay it 3 times immediately just so I could because I couldn't quite believe it the first time. And I was like, what? And I had to keep going back because it really got me.
That was the best thing about seeing it with an audience on Sunday, that like hearing them laugh and cry and like be shocked, yell at the screen. Yeah.
Talking about like that Trojan horse nature of like the Matrix 4 specific thing, but you saying that is something that can be like, and describing your movie, having it fed back to you as like, oh, this is a family drama. What is like texture? Like, you talked early on about like a kind of like putting a signature on something and like establishing your voice. What is the voice that you want to establish in this genre that you feel like you are either a complement to things that have already come before, or feel like filling the gap in an absence that you have not yet seen fill?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the gap that I want to fill, or what I want to bring to it, is definitely, like I said, that emotional aspect that a lot of times is not in action movies. Love stories that have been in them before, but not, you don't really see it often. And then on top of that, I want to center Black characters in genres where they're normally pushed to the side. And so I think even with this, Carrie, she was in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but she was the best friend of Angelina Jolie. And she said at this point, she was, she's not the best friend anymore.
Right.
And so it's about writing stuff where actors and actresses like her have an opportunity to shine and to lead in genre material.
Mm-hmm. I'm always interested to hear people talk about sort of like the possibility modeling that they encounter when they reach like greater plateaus and like build in for themselves like a new sort of quota of success, a new sort of quota of acceptability that they will like demand going forward. I want to hear about what working with those kinds of possibility models can do for you as a writer and a creative.
I mean, it's a fear-driven industry, but almost no matter what, money talks. And so I've kind of been, for what I like to do, I've been lucky enough to have someone like Ryan Coogler put out these movies that rise the whole tide.
Damn, yeah.
So even Shadow Force, I felt empowered to write after Black Panther came out. Like Black Panther came out February 2018, and I had a first draft of this by June 2018.
Okay.
It was like, since that came out and made over $1 billion, I actually believe that if I have, a big budget action movie with Black leads, that they would actually make it, because that happened. And now, once again, you have Sinners, which is doing well. And
I've seen it twice.
Yeah, so, and it's really crazy that this is to be coming out at the same time as he did. It definitely feels full circle in a way. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of outside of your control. I at least know what my mission is, and you just hope that there's space for it within the industry.
It's time for a break, but we will be back with more about Shadow Force, The Matrix, and Leon Chills. Then I will have one quick thing before I go at the end about the smokin' trailer for the upcoming movie 40 Acres, starring Daniel Deadwyler, who's having a very cool year. And yeah, I just want to shout that at the end, so stick around.
Hey, we're the Eurovangelists, and it's the most wonderful time of the year because the Eurovision Song Contest is next week.
37 countries will face off in Basel, Switzerland to determine who has the best song in Europe.
On our show, we've argued about all the songs, and we are heading to Europe to bring you our reactions straight from Switzerland.
And on our next episode, we're going to predict who's going to survive the semifinals, compete in the grand final, and ultimately win Eurovision 2025.
Albania, baby!
It's Malta.
Latvia.
But we won't be alone. Glenn Weldon of NPR's Pop Culture Happy Hour will be with us, sharing his own predictions and telling us why we're wrong.
So make sure you're ready for Eurovision by listening to Eurovangelists on Maximum Fun, available everywhere you get podcasts.
You never know what you'll learn more about on the celebrity trivia show Go Fact Yourself.
For over 150 episodes, we've welcomed guests like DJ Jazzy Jeff, Audie Cornish, and Andy Richter to tell us why they love what they love, and then get quizzed on it.
And past quizzes have included some pretty unexpected topics like
reverse painting,
the perfect flip turn while swimming,
Prince's house party playlist from that one episode of New Girl,
and so much more.
Plus, our guests meet surprise experts in their topics.
Like the time we met an actual celebrity cow.
So listen to Go Fact Yourself twice a month, every month on Maximum Fun.
Do it for the cow!
You watch The Matrix, and it's like the world is all the worlds are like green. In the real world, like tungsten green. You go into the like the actual world beyond the Matrix, and everybody's in knit that are fairly chic, honestly, and gray and brown and metal, and everything is foraged and welded together. But like there is the radiance of hope within these people who chose a more difficult path that is a more honest path, which makes just so much even more sense when you see the journey of the filmmakers who made it, the Wachowski sisters.
Right. Right.
But it and like going to see like Sinners coming out and having this massive opening. I think it's the first or second weekend where it and 3 other movies all did $20+ million at the box office. It was like
Right.
a we're so back kind of moment for movie theaters. I'm finding a kind of refuge in movies at this moment where there is so much tumult, and I'm honestly scared a lot of the time that like I feel like cinema feels so more important to me like now as like a salve and an answer than like even as a passionate like maker and talker about it all these ways. Like right now, like seeing Sinners go massive with other movies exploding at the box office and then coming back into the Matrix where you have like this literal like this physical embodiment of like even in the darkest places like Hope Springs. And then and right now for me movies are really this Hope Springs and you talking about in Shadow Force like the emotional moments, like seeing people cry and being like, yeah, you're kind of supposed to do that, not like, wow, I can't believe you guys are getting emotional at my movie. I'm obviously just on a monologue at this point, but I wanted to hear sort of your thoughts as somebody on the creative side, like hoping there is a demand within an industry for this thing that you want to do that is not just like a flight of fancy, but like, I hope there's a place for me as who I am. And I hope there's a place for the characters that bear a resemblance to me too. I wanted to hear from you about that sort of meeting of capitalism and desire to do better and see better in front of you, and how you thread that needle as somebody who has to be mindful, but like maintaining yourself, but then being like, look, and I know this is a business, so here's how I might have to work the business to make this happen.
Yeah. It's just scary. I've kind of recently figured out that the space that I operate in is like fear on 9, faith on 10. So I think like fearless is a misnomer. Like I have been described as fearless for quitting JP Morgan and chasing a dream, but in reality, anytime I make a decision like that, I'm terrified.
For
It's just
sure.
I have like slight little more faith than I do fear. And I feel like that's what it's like to write with this purpose and not know if the demand will be there. But all I can do artistically is to continue to do it. I mean, things would definitely be easier if I wrote something for a white guy lead, because there's a lot of Ryans and a lot of Chris's, and, you know. But you know, you just got to get to be at peace with yourself. Really, I mean, I'm not a super materialistic person, so it doesn't really bother me to leave money on the table.
I so appreciate you speaking to like the conflation of fearlessness and of being fearless and being afraid. There's such a prized sense around fearlessness, sort of rise and grind, like outwork everybody and never be afraid, when that feels like it really flattens the human experience of how you actually deal with the emotional stages of making a really difficult decision. And I feel like flattening those all into one concept of just like pure blind courage or pure delusion, it cheats the actual bravery that there was there, because to do something in spite of the fear takes so much more than just like, I've never been afraid a day in my life.
I mean, yeah. That's something I just like I said, I realized recently. Because when I first was called fearless, I was like, yeah. And then I was like,
it's cool.
It took some processing to be like, no, that's actually not true.
Yeah, it's a nice brand to have. Like,
right.
And it's
exactly.
a nice idea to have around oneself. But I think if one, especially if creative people, if they sort of one note or one dimensionally are charging into all things, then they're not. I would imagine those aren't people who are super adept at navigating or realizing the broad range of human emotional experience into, you know, 3-dimensional, fully fleshed out characters.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point.
Neo is never fearless, basically.
Right.
Neo is always wrestling with something.
I can't go back, can I?
No. But if you could, would you really want to?
So where do you find yourself? Like, if it went from like you said, the Keeping Up with the Joneses in the cubicle to like having to break out of the cubicle, taking the notion of the red pill has been appropriated by shitty forces, but in the original sense, Matrix of red pill, blue pill in Morpheus's hand. And where do you find you are in your Neo's journey to realizing, whether or not there is a spoon and whether or not you can bend it?
I mean, I feel like that moment, I guess, was probably selling the script, like selling it in the bidding war, and that whole dream coming true. So it made me believe I could do it again. But I don't know. I guess now it just kind of feels like the second one where the agents could multiply. There's like 1 million on you all at once. Where, back-to-back strikes and contraction and COVID, like there's all these other things that have nothing to do with the industry specifically. I mean, nothing to do with like just people wanting a script you wrote, right? Like they can't even read them because we're on strikes, or now they're not buying as much. So yeah, there's like all these other things going on now that it's like makes it even more difficult. And I guess, just kind of have to hang on to the fact that it happened before. Now it being released is like a reinvigoration of hope. So yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, like you said, I don't think it's ever feeling like you're the one, but but having that feeling, like I said, that if you get shot multiple times metaphorically, that you can get back up. That you can get back up again.
Okay, my last question would be then, since like it feels like a project of the Matrix series is to sort of undo the notion of the one, or at least reimagine the notion of the one, because like we have obviously the Morpheus character who's really invested in like this classical sense of the hero's journey. Like Neo is the one. He's going to be the one to unmake the Matrix, et cetera, et cetera. But it never quite goes how, like he's so close to it, but it never quite goes how he wants. And people are constantly like, well, guess you were wrong, Morpheus. And he has these moments of such extreme doubt that, and it seems like such a sense of like sadness that there might not be a one.
Right.
And Neo having to live up to the expectation of possibly being it, but not quite being it.
What are you doing? I'm going in.
No, you're not.
I have to.
Neo, Morpheus sacrificed himself so that we could get you out. There is no way that you're going back in.
Morpheus did what he did because he believed that I'm something I'm not.
What?
I'm not the one, Trinity. The Oracle hit me with that too.
No, you have to be.
I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm just another guy.
No, Neo, that's not true. It can't be true.
Why?
What we kind of get through going through all the story of number 4 even is that for Neo, it never, the shell around it was about saving existence and humanity, but it really is about him and Trinity. And so I guess the kind of last like tie-in sort of metaphorical connection to this I wanted to get into was, what have you found, like when something was pulling you so strongly away from the more convenient, tidy life of a life in finance or on Wall Street, and you're like, I got to go do this thing. What are you finding now is the reason to keep doing this thing?
Just as a creative, whether I'm getting paid to do it or not, I cannot stop writing stories. That'll be the case regardless. The hope is that someone will want to buy it, but even if I had to become like a used car salesman or something, like I would still be in the back writing scripts, thinking maybe one day I'll be back. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, even though we're in 2025, like I said, there still aren't enough opportunities for Black actors and actresses. And so that will keep me going, for the foreseeable future. I was in LA for 10 years. I recently moved away to live the family life. I have 3 kids now.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Still, obviously, hoping for a long career, still writing. But I think even that is something, I don't know, I haven't processed it yet, but just being able to not be okay with not physically being there in the midst of the industry aspects, but still trying to do my little thing where I can.
Well, I think that's the way to end it. That is the cap to put on it. Thank you so much, Leon, for coming and talking to me. Like, you really hit on some points that are some just my favorite aspects to talk about on this show, and the way you got at them, the fear on 9, like when it was like, wow, that is a wonderful way to lay that out. I thank you so much for how you've talked about this, and I really feel like, not even belaboredly so, we could really link together the Neo story with your story in a very tidy way. So thank you for bringing an excellent character to discuss on the show, and for your time today.
Oh yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Congratulations with the release, and good luck on it making its way around to people.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to Leon Chills. Shadow Force is out now. Go check it out and let us know if you two find some unexpected tears that start to flow when you are making your way through this little shoot 'em up feature. But now, that one quick thing before I go, trailer just came out recently for the movie 40 Acres, which let me describe it to you with just a little IMDb summary. Let's get the direct summary. In a post-apocalyptic world with food scarcity, a black family of Canadian farmers descended from American Civil War migrants defend their homestead against cannibals trying to seize their resources. Now, Danielle Deadwyler was just in The Woman in the Yard. Danielle Deadwyler is a great actress, and like the trailer for this, like, it starts out as like this family clearly feels post-apocalyptic. They're maintaining the land. The mom seems to really like keep her children regimented and on point. There are fence surrounding the perimeter. Like, it's a dangerous world. There's like, it's a very quiet place set up in that, like, there's like the control room with the radio out, closed circuit TVs monitoring the property. And at a certain point, all hell breaks loose when people come to siege the property. And that is like overlay all like the thrilling, the shooting, the Michael Gray eyes showing up with a big gun, looks like kicking ass and taking names. This movie looks like a cool, like badass action, defend your home, romp. But it's also called 40 Acres. And that is a loaded statement. Like, that's not nothing. Like, I would love Danielle Deadwyler and your representative, if you're out there in Feeling Seen land, I would love to have you on the show, because I want to talk to you about getting a script that says 40 acres in the title, and then you get into it and you read about protecting your home from cannibals, dead set and determined to take your land from you, and you are the descendants of American Civil War migrants. There are so many pieces to that, of history, of identity, of like American mythology, of language that is suffused with meaning and symbolism that tells me that, like, to me, that informs the action in such a way that this looks like an exploitation thriller, which is even more exciting to people. Like, I can't know yet. I haven't seen it yet. I'm just really excited for 40 Acres, and to see Danielle Deadwyler coming out in force, leading woman in both horror, Woman in the Yard, and action 40 Acres this year. That sounds like a Feeling Seen star, if ever there was one. And that's great. Danielle, if you're out there, come see us. And that's our show. All that excitement, that's our show. You can keep up with us wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Just hit that follow button and get every new episode in your feed as soon as it drops. You can follow us on Instagram to find out more things, and that's at Feeling Seen Pod. We are also on Blue Sky, me and the show. Just search Feeling Seen or JorCru, JORCRU, which is also where I remain on Twitter. Our theme music is by Andrew Epen. This episode was produced by Marissa Flaxbart. Our senior producers are Kevin Ferguson and Laura Swisher, and this is a production of Maximum Fun.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
Supported directly by you.